Attempt number 3 to make an attempt of a podcast. There was an attempt. There was an attempt to make a podcast. And this is the attempt number 7, I think. I believe so. Let me double check because I'm not sure of how many episodes I have made apparently. What's up, Brave New World? It's Joshua again here with a brand new video. It's Joshua again here with a brand new video in which we're about to make an attempt in which we're about to try and make another attempt of a podcast of the Child-Free podcast episode number 7. I can't believe it. Wow. There was an attempt to make a podcast and this is the attempt number 7, meaning episode 7. How hilarious is that? The following question that we are going to discuss today is a rather hilarious one because, oh my god, this is kind of irritating, but at the same time, it's condescending, irritating. Let me see other synonyms for the word condescending, which is, for example, give me a second. Condescending. Condescending. Give me some synonyms. According to this one, oh my god, this one has a lot of disdain. Well, actually, let me move this properly. Much better. Oh. Much better. Alright, as I was telling you, oh yeah, I was looking for a few synonym words for the word condescending. The following question that we are about to discuss today is a rather fascinating one because it's a little condescending, irritating, and rather patronizing, snobbish, scornful, disdainful, snotty, imperious, ridiculous, and absurd. But at the same time, it's fantastic because sorry, that was me belching. This is a very irritating question that a lot of people with children tend to ask us child-free folks. Especially, I would say that happens in both English-speaking countries and Spanish-speaking countries like mine. In case you're wondering, I'm Mexican, by the way. Oh my god. It's super cold outside, therefore it makes perfect sense that a lot of us are getting sick for this very reason. But that's besides the point. The question that we're going to discuss today and to see some of the fun ways to respond is this one, and it is how to respond to the who's gonna take care of you when you're old questions. This is kind of irritating because this makes you realize that this type of horrible people do not view their kids as their own person, but they view them as an asset. They dehumanize their children and they basically view them as a how can I say this? They basically view their kids as a pathetic asset. No, as an asset, as a dehumanized tool, a dehumanized tool that might not following a plan that might even backfire. Because what if you are a terrible father? What if you are a terrible parent and they end up hating you? So to the point that when you're on your deathbed or when you're in the last decades of your life, the last 2 decades of your life, not only do they choose not to visit you, but also they spit on you, metaphorically and literally, and pray to all the gods that it is more metaphorically rather than literally, because let us hope that you're not a horrible parent that is so unloving, unkind, vindictive, callous, heartless, that they would be willing to come in front of you on your deathbed and literally spit on you rather than visually, rather than metaphorically and figuratively, and give you the middle finger. Back to this one. Someone at work asked me this when I said I didn't want to get married or have children. I told them I was fully prepared to be found dead in my apartment months after the fact. That's fantastic! Needless to say, it got extremely awkward and they never asked me that question again. Let us notice that the original poster of this question wrote originally, needless to say, it got extremely, and they never asked me that question again. I have to admit that this person, without a doubt, definitely forgot to write an adjective in that particular question. However, oh my god, they forgot to write an adjective in that particular question. However, I decided to fill in the blanks and make it as understandable as possible. That's one pet peeve that I have with this type of posts, which I enjoy reading, not just with childfree, with r/childfree, but also pretty much anything that is written online. Come on dude, come on girl, come on man. If you're gonna write in English and you are a native speaker plus a monolingual person, shame on you, by the way. Have the decency to write with proper punctuation. Have the decency to write with proper punctuation. I mean, come on. You're supposed to command one of the easiest and most potentially poetic languages in the world that is kind of easy for everyone to learn. Thank you, England. Which is being sarcastic, by the way. Which is sarcasm, by the way. Anyway, back to this one. Oh, and by the way, this is just, come on, the original poster just missed an adjective. Therefore, it's not a big deal. Besides, this person has a quite understandable punctuation, but that's not the point. What we are going to discuss here is, one more time, when this video is edited, you will see somewhere around here the title of the question that we're going to discuss right here. The first answer, which is fantastic, in a previous video that I have attempted to do, it was there, but it didn't work. Anyway, the first response is, and it's hilarious, honestly. It's hilarious because it says, well, the job market is going to be 70% smaller by then, so your kids will be unemployed and begging on the street. They'll probably be thrilled to work for me. Oh, and I'll keep them far too busy to ever see you. I hope you have other care plans for yourself. If you expect your kids to take care of you, which is horrible in the first place, you might as well be the most loving, understanding, kind, friendly, loving, affectionate, give me other synonyms, devoted, affectionate, fond, tender, warm-hearted, amorous, doting, solicitous, demonstrative, there is another word that I thought, supportive, and most importantly, tender. That's the word I'm looking for, tender. You better have all a long list of thesaurus words describing you, so that at least your children end up loving you so much that they will gladly take care of you when you're old. And also, like my parent, like my mom, by the way, she insists that she doesn't want us, her kids, me and her nieces and nephews, to take care of her. She deserves that, alright? She's being so hardworking and so amazing and so loving that pretty much she deserves to be taken care of when she's grown up. I would love to do that, alright? It's the least I can do. And best thing, she does not rub it on my face, alright? To all those horrible parents doing that, using the ultimate despicable dagger, verbal dagger, saying something like, I gave birth to you. To all those horrible kids, especially some Indian content creators whose mothers are like that, always fight back with this dagger, which is, and I did not ask to be born, mother. To all the people with horrible parents like this, Indian, Korean, Vietnamese, Eastern Asian or some English-speaking country, no, some English-speaking families and Spanish-speaking families, you might as well do that, right? I give birth to you. Always fight back with, I didn't ask to be born. I didn't ask you to give me life. I didn't ask for that. And even if you had aborted me, I would have said something like, thank you. Existing is overrated, alright? Which brings me to a very important and interesting argument, you know? Every time that people that are against abortion be like, would you have liked to be aborted? Absolutely. Existing is overrated. Existing is overrated. However, I'm here, I'm alive. I'm here, I'm alive. I'm breathing, my heart is beating, and I promised my family that I would live for them. So, here I am until my life ends by natural causes, hopefully by old time, by old age, or maybe... sorry. Or maybe by... what do you call it? Or maybe by... I'm thinking. Or maybe by illness. That's the word I was looking for. Let's say that my father's family was prone to diabetes. Let us hope I don't die by something similar like that, but let's say that I end up dying because of that. Let us say that I end up dying because of that very reason. Should I die by that cause? Bring it on. Should I die of old age? That's kind of more welcome, but so be it. I just hope I don't die at the hands of another human being. Now, let us continue. That was a fantastic rant. No, that was a fantastic answer. Especially for the last part that says, I'll keep them far too busy to ever see you. It's like a big fuck you to the people, to the person that asked that in the first place. And that's fantastic, honestly. Let us continue. To that, the original poster says something like literally and the skull. It's hilarious. It's adorable, honestly. It's hilarious. It's adorable, honestly. With that information out of the way, let us continue with the next. With a few responses to that. Let us continue with a few responses to what do you call it? Let us continue with a few responses to that previous answer that I read, and it says, literally, and what do you call it? And you have the skull, literally, and to that another person replies by saying something like, oh my god, I think you need to add something about your cats eating off half of your face by the time your body is found. On the one hand, it sounds kind of depressing, you know, to die in your house, in your apartment. Let's hope you can buy a house in the future when the market crashes. And what do you call it? Let's hope that you can die in a house and not in an apartment that you barely survive to pay. You barely survive to pay. Oh my god, that's gonna be interesting. Let us continue. Oh my god, I believe I don't like the way my voice sounds. Maybe that's the reason I am doing so much this sound. But that's besides the point. Let us move on with the next response to that response, which is story number 1, or more like reply number 1. Alright, let us continue. The next one says, oh my, there are a couple of responses that in the previous video attempt I tried to read, and this time with this video that is going to be really long, and also it's going to be totally continuous, it's going to be rather quick. To that another person says, I lay on my bed for a minute yesterday. One of my boys, I suppose it's your cat, came over and sniffed my nose. I opened one eye and said, I'm not dead yet. Try again later. He made a little noise and plopped beside me. Put one leg behind his head and began cleaning his ass. His ass. Typical cat. That's kind of cute. Oh, that's kind of cute. That is kind of cute. But especially the cruel response is like, oh my god, that's cool. But at the same time, ouch. Anyway, to that there is another reply that I would love to say, which is the following reply that I'm about to read is rather gruesome, so buckle up. Remember, the one I read at the beginning was the one I read at the beginning was this one that said, well, the job market is going to be 70% smaller by then. So your kids will be unemployed and begging on the street. They'll probably be thrilled to work for me. I bet. Whatever clean work is okay. Whatever honest work, it's okay. Nom 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 nom. So your kids will be unemployed and begging on the street. They'll probably be thrilled. They'll probably be thrilled to work for me. And I'll keep them far too busy to ever see you. I hope you have other plans, other care plans for yourself. That was cool. That was amazing. That was cool. I have to admit it. That was cool. That was amazing. I had to admit it. I enjoyed that quite a lot. Oh, by the way, the last one that I want to read, the reply to the final reply to the number one that I read a few moments ago, it's this one, and it says, I at least don't have that fate to look forward to myself. Oof. My employer calls welfare checks on no call, no shows. Ouch. I'll never be able to retire in this economy, so I'll surely be found within a few days at most. At least my cats won't starve, and I'm speaking sincerely at that. CW, what's the meaning of CW? Gruesome violence ahead. This person used the abbreviation that says CW, meaning content warning on social media, continuous wave, chemical warfare, conventional wisdom, CW television network. It says content warning. Use online to flag sensitive or potentially triggering topics, for example, violence or mental health, before the content is revealed. And so one more time, it says, content warning, gruesome violence ahead. The reason they always call welfare checks is actually pretty saddening and enraging. The short version is that the short version is that the reason they always call is sad and enraging. Short version is that a few years before I started, an employee was found dead alone in her apartment a few days after several missed no calls, no show shifts. She had died slowly, literally beaten to death by her ex. No way to know for sure, but she may have lived and recovered if she had been found earlier. That is kind of sad. That is quite sad. Not kind of sad. That is quite sad. And I hope that this person rests in peace, and I hope that the horrible ex is captured. Oh my god. Alright, with that out of the way, let us move on to story number 2, to the reply number 2, which is quite fantastic because it's the perfect table turner. Alright, it is the perfect table turner, and it says, so you're taking care of your elderly parents then, right? Right? If you're asking me who's gonna take care of me when I'm young, when I'm older, I suppose that you have your old parents, right? And I suppose they are being taken care by you, right? So, aren't they? Are they? And in case that person says something on the lines of, no, because they're dead. No, because they are dead. No, because they are dead. Well, guess what? My mom doesn't let me take care of her. She wants to take care of herself without anyone's help. And yeah, I do visit her. Something like that is what I would say if someone said something like that. If someone stroked back after I said, so you are taking care of your elderly parents. So you are taking care of your elderly parents then, right? Some replies to that question, some replies to that initial reply are these. The first one says, my mom worked at a nursing home her whole life, and the reality is that even people with kids are not being taken care of by their kids. Sure, many come to visit. but so many do not. So I tell people probably the same person who takes care of me will take care of you. Oh yeah, with I read somewhere that Japan has one of the biggest and largest growing populations, meaning that some of the biggest, largest growing populations. Let's say that out of 100 million people, like, I don't know, 50 are people older than 60 years old. Something like that. Somebody fact check me if you can. I'm gonna ask Google, let's see what it says. Is Japan an island? Of course it is. Is Japan expensive? Ha! Is Japan safe to visit? Nah, it's safer than America, that's for sure. What else do we have? In Asia, part of NATO. Is NATO communist, cheap, airlines good? Ha! What type of question is that? Come on. Anyway, back to the question that I had is like, does Japan have the largest aging population in the world? And it says climbs to a record 36.23 million according to I'm not even gonna try it. Yeah, Japan has the largest elderly population in the world with over 29% of its residents age 65 or older. As the world's first super-aged society, this demographic shift is driven by a high life expectancy and a low birth rate, with the elderly population projected to reach 35% more by 2040. How about that? That's all I'm gonna read, alright? I'm not going to read the whole thing. What I'm going to read instead, it's this part that says, the second reply, which is, that's what gets me. Once again, my biggest pet peeve at the time of reading this type of post is the fact that sometimes the people don't use proper punctuation. People use punctuation. Let's see if I can read this correctly. And it says, come here. The next answer that I'm going to read is the one that says, more zoom, and it goes, that's what gets me. Like, what if, you need a comma over there. That's what gets me. Maybe a period, maybe a comma, capital letter. Like, what if their kids don't like them enough to raise them when they're old? And honestly, end that with a question mark. Once again, that's what gets me. Like, what if their kids don't like them enough to raise them when they're old? Question mark. And honestly, the people talking are usually in the same boat. They hate their elderly parents. Many of them be like that, alright? Many of them be like that. And plus, no one is ready to have kids. No one. It's just try and what? It's try and miss. Oh yeah, and parents usually fail when they try with their first eldest sibling. Moving on with another reply that I liked a lot because it's kind of very receptive, if you ask me. It's very reflective. There is a lot of reflection, self-awareness, and self-thought here. And it goes, I don't hate my parents. I'm just not the caregiving type and choose not to have kids as a result. My dad recently passed away, and I didn't have to care for him at all. I'm my mom's caregiver by default, due to not having kids, and I resent the heck out of it. Luckily, I'm just driving her around to appointments and errands, managing her bills, because she can't, as well as anything she needs done online because she's not tech savvy. But I told her that if she needs any care beyond what I am doing right now, like if she'll ever need help with feeding, bathing, and toileting, that's my limit and I refuse to do that. And she'll have to pay for a caregiver or go to a nursing home. Again, I don't hate her, but I choose not to have kids because I don't want to do those things. So, I don't think I should have to do those things for her just because she decided to bring me into this world. Big applause to your mom, of course. Big applause to your mom and big applause to you, because evidently she did such a good job as a mother that you, as you say it, you don't hate her. I hope you do get along with her just fine. And I hope that that my cat wakes up. She's alright. My cat is literally on my bed. Back to this topic, as I was saying, it says, I don't hate my parents, I'm just... props on you for getting along with your mom, not hating her, and I suppose that your mom did a good job, such a good job, raising you that she... what do you call it? That she... is not 100% dependent on you, and she's not expecting to depend on you to take care of her when she grows up. Alright? Now that she's older. Oh my god. Let us continue. Let's see. Let's continue. I could continue reading so many replies. However, I'm going to stop right there, alright? Because now I want to move to another reply that says... No. Before we move to a new reply... Story 2.1. Reply number 2.1. There is another one that says... I will never be my mom's caregiver, regardless of how her health or financial situation changes, or the context, because I'm disabled, and disabled folks should never be burdened with caring for relatives when they themselves are the ones needing help. I have read stories from disabled folks online who accepted to be their parents' caregivers and now struggle twice more. Usually because they are too kind, too loving, and or were guilted and shamed into doing it. Nope, not for me. I won't screw myself over, and if I ever start to be guilted or shamed into it, unlikely, good on your parents for not shaming you or gaslighting you. I know that my partner, also disabled, and who thinks like me, will immediately shake sense into me. Nice. Once again, blessed be the parents that have kids and treat them as their own person and don't use the horrible card that says, I gave birth to you, or do you have any idea how much it costed? No. Blessed be the parents that do their best with what they have and do an objectively good job by being loving but correcting. They are not friends, they are leaders, and they are friends when they need to. Stuff like that. My mom, for example, she's not my friend. She's my mom. I have to respect her. I have to follow her. And the same is with my dad. The same was with my dad when he was alive. He was not my friend. He was my superhero, my caretaker, and the loving parent, alright? But sometimes, yeah, he was my friend. All parents, kids, remember, your parents are not your friends. They are the leaders of the pack. And they are your parent, and they care for you. They want what's best for you. There is a funny lesson by this comedian, the Joker, an Argentinian guy dressed up as the Joker. And one person approached him nicely, and he's like, "Hey Joker, my son doesn't want to listen. My son is very rebellious and stubborn. Do you have any advice for him?" And the guy, Argentinian by the way, dressed up as the Joker, says something like, What's the name of your child?" His name is David. "Okay, David. Remember this, son. When your parents are trying to teach you anything, your only work is to learn, because they are teaching you with affection and kindly, and they are sugarcoating stuff. While life, on the other hand, will punch the lessons on your face with steel punches, figuratively and metaphorically speaking." After reading all those replies, let us move on into the other one, because if I start reading so many answers, I'm never going to end, because there is the case that sometimes one main reply will have many more replies beneath it, and that's frankly I need to continue because I could get easily distracted, because the reply number 3 is coming here, and this is hilarious. This is a straight up dark humor, exploring the mortality of life. It says, bold of you to assume any of us will make it to old age. I love this. This says, bold of you to assume that any of us will make it to old age. Tulio, bunga 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 bunga. Please ignore that last laughter of mine. I was just remembering random things. My brain will sometimes generate random images of, random things that I have seen in the past and that I randomly remember. Back to this. Bold of you to assume any of us will make it to old age. Totally true. Totally true. Bold of you to assume that any of us will make it to old age. Especially considering the fact that I'm Mexican. Considering the fact that I'm Mexican and I'm a man, so it is commonly known knowledge that men usually live far fewer years than women. We live less than women. Women live more than men. And the joke is that while having fun in the dumbest ways possible, we end up losing our lives. But we lost our lives having fun, Another person replies, that's exactly my answer when I have been asked. This person has been asked the question, who's going to take care of you when you're old? And this person replies, bold of you to assume any of us will make it to old age. Or even better, let's make it more personal by saying, that bold of you to assume that I will make it to old age. One more time. Let it come whenever it has to come. I mean, the end of my life. Mortality. Hopefully, it will be at a good, decent adult age. Alright? That was actually quite straightforward because this was only one answer. One main answer with two replies, which is frankly quite satisfactory because that way I can move on to story number 4, to reply number 4, to reply number 4's. That way I can move quickly to reply number 4. And that one says, here's mine. The same nursing home staff who are going to take care of you. Not that much of a table turner like the previous one, but it's just as good. To that, someone else says, my response is similar. I'll be in a nursing home just like you, but a better one than I can afford because I never had kids. Heck yeah. Heck yeah. Oh, this one has 4 replies, so I'm gonna read this one. To that one, someone else says, I love that. I love that. I love that. Let's continue. Yeah. And it says, and there is one more reply that says, yep. Yep. I often do home visits for my patients in aged care facilities. I wonder if the people who asked this question are planning to have their aged relatives live with them or move into aged care. Yeah, it's a projection. Every accusation is an admission of guilt. That's what it says. So if they ask you, who's going to take care of you when you are old? It's probably a question being asked by despicable, irritating, spineless people that probably don't even take care of their own old relatives, especially if they're alive, living old relatives. I hope I'm making sense. I hope I'm making sense. And damn it! One of my butt cheeks is scratchy. Sorry, I moved aside so I could scratch my left butt cheek. I'm so sorry. That was fantastic and I loved it because the next one is also the reply number 5 is gonna be a little dark. The entire post is dark, but reply number 5, so far, takes the cake because it says, I plan on killing myself before I get to the point of being so dependent on others to help me live. I plan on killing myself before I get to the point of being so dependent on others to help me live. Period. Good, thank you for adding the period. If I can't live by myself, or for myself, what's the point? If I can live by myself, for myself, what's the point? I need a point over there. I need a comma over there. By myself, for myself, what's the point? Great way to kill a conversation in my experience. Bravo! Bravo! Bravo for this conversation killer. Just like we need conversation starters, we of course, some conversation killers, conversation enders come in handy, you know? It goes in something like, I plan on killing myself before I get to the point of being so dependent on others to help me live. If I can't live by myself, for myself, what's the point? Beautiful. But hey, unfortunately, killing yourself will be maybe a little difficult. You need probably, if you live in the US, getting a gun is easy, I guess. My kind of people, this person says, but I don't know what they mean by that. To that, other person says, that's always been my plan. Hopefully, I can take control of my own situation like that when it comes down to it. I'm gonna jump into a volcano or Thelma and Louise it. But I get to choose, hopefully. That's the most important way. That's the most important thing regarding life and death. Euthanasia doesn't sound so bad, honestly. Speaking of euthanasia, quick question. When your cat or dog, your pet, reaches a critical point of their life in which they are very old, and its living is more of a burden than a normal blessing or a normal life. When your pet dog or your pet cat or your pet of any kind is so old that living is exhausting and quite a burden, is euthanasia okay? Most of the time they say it is, but in my case I would choose euthanasia only if, only if there was a health problem that was just incurable and that treatment would cause more suffering. I remember going to a veterinarian one day to take care of my cat. I love you, honey. And one lady, a middle-aged lady, was bringing her dog to be put to sleep, and it was not pleasant for me to watch. It was like, okay, but of course it wasn't okay. Not but okay, but okay, I'm sorry, in my mind. And I was like, that woman, that middle-aged woman that was carrying her dog, holding her dog's paw as it was being put to sleep, which means euthanized, sacrificed, put out of its misery. That woman held the dog's paw, and frankly, that's quite something commendable, considering that that makes being a veterinarian one of the saddest professions. Alright. The next one is kind of also a table turner, because study number 6, it's like the previous one, the study number 3, that one that says all of you to assume that any of us will make it to old age. The response number 6 says something like, who's gonna take care of me when I'm old? Your kids' tax dollars. Your kids tax dollars. That's actually fantastic, because indeed that's also quite a table turner. That's how you turn the conversation around in your favor, and the person asking that question becomes someone that pretty much asked a stupid question that pretty much was something nonsensical and unnecessary to talk about. To that, someone else says, to that reply number 6, someone says something like, someone says, I say the same people you're going to pay to take care of you. I like yours better now. Me too. Me too. The next one has also more dark humor, because I have to say that it talks about dark mortality and how some people just are so done with life that they are totally ready to leave it. And frankly, it's kind of disturbing, you know? A little bit. If that's your life and that's how you want to end it, that's on you. I will not judge you if you say something like, you underestimate how okay I am with killing myself. I love this one because a lot of these answers are quite dark. However, I like that. They are quite funny and quite humorous, you know? Especially the one that says, my retirement plan has always been death. Death. Frankly, I'm surprised I've made it this far. And do you know, speaking of making it this far, I'm surprised that I'm reading this and I'm surprised to be making this video and that it hasn't stopped recording this stuff. Frankly, I'm surprised that it hasn't stopped recording this stuff. Answer number 8. I'm surprised that I'm reaching this far because I don't even know how much video I have recorded so far. This one says something like, that's my cat. I was saying, reply number 8. Who's gonna take care of you when you're old? The same people in the same nursing home that your grandma is at right now. Ironically, I got this question from an ex of mine who literally had a grandma in a nursing home, and she and her family barely visited once a year, and she sometimes told me she's waiting on grandma to die so she can start renovating the family home. Again, with this sort of people, every accusation is every accusation is automatically a declaration, a confession of sorts. Yeah. That's what happens, alright? Gotta be wary of this sort of people. And I believe that you also have to be wary of the people that say something like reply number 9, which is who's gonna take care of you when you're old? The person who asked me this, I then responded with, who's looking after your parents? You left the city they lived in. You only have one child. What if they do the same? She got really upset. You got it. Why even ask such personal questions so immediately? No, this type of personal questions, no thank you. What do you care? Alright, what do you care? Yeah. The next replies that are coming are rather short. So let's go. Reply number 10 says something like, me and or a well-paid nurse. I agree. Cats maybe. IRAs? What is that? Reply number 11 is something like, my two IRAs, my husband's 401k, profits from the stock market, and my government pension. How about you? He, of course. But before we move on to the question number 12, let us quickly check what's the meaning of IRA, because IRA meaning in English, IRA meaning no, IRA in English meaning, it is IRA. It's an abbreviation. IRA means individual retirement account. Apparently, individual retirement account. It also means, in the context of politics and history, Irish Republican Army. And other potential uses go like International Reading Association, Internet Research Agency, and various other organizations. I think that's enough. I think that's enough, because now we move on to answer. That was very short. And as I was telling you, the next answers are quite short, because the previous one, I'm realizing that the answers before number 10 were actually quite long. But these ones, they start to get short. And number 12 is not the exception, because it says, I fully plan to euthanize myself before I reach that age. I'm going down on my terms if I can help it. Sounds good. Sounds good. If someone... sounds horrible, but if I had an accident and I lost all of my limbs, I would be like, end my life already. End my life already. Yeah. What good is life if I don't have my limbs to support myself? Literally and figuratively. Hehe. Yeah. By the way, maybe this will sound ableist, but honestly, yeah. I fully plan to euthanize myself. That's what this person says. I don't mean that I plan to do that. If my cat eats me, please not the face. Please not the face. I don't want the mortician to have problem reconstructing this. Let's continue. To that person that says, guess I'll die, someone replies, same, sweet release of death. Yeah, same, sweet release of death. Also, your username is fantastic. They say that because the last person that says, guess I'll die, has the funny nickname, the funny username, fire breathing whore. That's hilarious. FIREBREATHINGWHORE. Fire breathing whore. Oh, the next one is quite straightforward, to the point, and no beating around the bush. Definitely no beating around the bush, because it says 1, 2, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Answer number 14 is something like, mind your own fucking business. Straight to the point. Straight to the point. No beating around the bush. I think that's the expression. No beating around the bush. No beating around the bush. I think I've heard it. Beating around the bush. Meaning, no beating around the bush means to avoid directly addressing the main topic, often talking about irrelevant, unimportant, and uncomfortable details instead of getting to the point. Mind your own fucking business. Straight and to the point. Yes. Let's see. Speaking of going to the point, let's go to the point of question number 15, which is gonna be quite a little bit longer. That's nice. That way you give me more material to comment. Let's go. Reply number 15. It says, at this point, I just laugh and say something like, I don't even know if I'll be alive in a year. I'm not going to have kids now and hope they're well off enough to take care of me. I don't think I got this one. Did you understand that? I don't think I did. One more time. Let's read it again. At this point, I just laugh and say something like, I don't even know if I'll be alive in a year. And I am not going to have kids now and hope they are well enough to take care of me. Who are you referring to with they towards the end of your question, of your statement? You mean your kids? Or whom? Or who? Let's go. That was reply number 15. Let's move on to number 16. Oh, this is gonna be good. This is gonna be good, because it says, there are 3 replies over here and we are gonna read them. There are 3 replies over here and we are gonna read them. And it says, give me a second. There are 3 replies over here. Quite straightforward, and we're gonna read them. They say something like, crap. They say, honestly, with climate change and the state of the world, I can't, in all honesty, say I expect to live long enough to find out. Yeah. I like that a lot of these answers contain a lot of pessimism, you know, because it says something like, again, honestly, with climate change and the state of the world, I can, in all honesty, say I expect to live long enough to find out. And there is a, what do you call it? A punchline with a little a skull over there. When this video is edited, and you can see the text in this part where my hand is, when this video is edited, you will see a little skull in the letters in the text on the screen. Alright? To that, another person replies, right there with you. Right there with you. And if things get really bad, they could, but don't think about it, because by admitting that you're summoning bad things, I don't plan on trying to survive all that hard. Oof. Oof. So it goes. Right there with you. And if things get really bad, I don't plan on trying to survive all that hard. And there's another reply that says, yeah, and if we get into zombie apocalypse and sometimes that resembles anything like Walking Dead, I'm out. To be honest, nah, apocalypse will not be a zombie apocalypse, not at all. I hope it is like the Bible and God comes here and deletes our evil. If that means that I'm included, so be it. With every time, with every single day that happens, with every single day that happens, el apocalipsis deja de ser una... ¿Cómo decirlo? Lo voy a decir en mi idioma. Por cada día que pasa, el apocalipsis deja de ser un miedo y se torna una esperanza. Oh, lo he dicho y lo digo de nuevo. I'm gonna say that now in English, and it is: for every day that happens, the apocalypse stops becoming something to fear and turns into some sort of hope. It can't come soon enough. Alright? I hope I'm saying that right. I hope I'm saying that right. And in order to resonate that even bigger and louder, let us translate it into English one more time. Again, in my language. Vamos a decirlo en mi lengua primero. A ver, por cada día que pasa, el apocalipsis deja de ser un miedo y se torna en una esperanza. Se torna una esperanza. He dicho. Now let's try it in English. It's easy. With each passing day, with every day that passes, the apocalypse ceases to be something to fear. Stops becoming something to fear. No, it sounds better like that. Ceases to be something to fear and becomes hope. Hope. Alright? It becomes hope. Multilingual rant. Multilingual rant. Or multilingual interlude. You didn't see that coming, did you? You didn't see that one coming, did you? Again, I'm gonna use Google's help, but also I'm gonna use DeepL because DeepL is way better. Again. Yeah, honestly, with climate change and the state of the world, I can, in all honesty, say that I expect to live long enough to find out. To that, other person replies, hey, right there with you. And if things get really bad, I don't plan on trying to survive all that hard. And yeah, right there with you. And if we get into zombie apocalypse mode, and something that resembles anything like Walking Dead, I'm out. Yeah, that's what I mean. I mean, por cada día que pasa, el apocalipsis deja de ser un miedo y se torna una esperanza. He dicho. With each passing day, the apocalypse ceases to be a fear and it becomes something to look forward to, like some sort of hope. The ending of this suffering, I mean, let's make it resonate with a few more people, right? Let's make it resonate with the people of Finland by saying something like, let's make it resonate with the people of Finland by saying something like, jokainen päivä, joka kuluu apokalypsi lakkaa olemasta pelko ja muuttuu toivoksi. That's what I mean. Let's raise the bed by saying that in Afrikaans, another one of my favorite languages, which is something like met elke dag wat voorbij gaan, how the apocalypse op on en vries te vies en wordt dit een hoop. I hope I say that right. Chantal, if you're watching this, please correct me. Anti, esi, jos sina tata tieda, vitsaka, Mitsuka. Sano minule. Kerro minule yo solet correcti. Por cada día que pasa, el apocalipsis deja de ser un miedo y se torna una esperanza. For every passing day. One more time. With each passing day. For every day that passes. Let's try it again. For every day. For each day. For each day that passes. Apocalypse. The apocalypse. Apocalypse ceases to be a fear and becomes a hope. Yes. Oh, yes. Let's raise the bet by saying that in Sesutu, Ramakatsa, Katsu. If you're watching this, my brother, this is for you. And it says, Letsasi lefen, leleleng, lefetan, timetso ea lefatse, lefatche, chaotsa, hobat shabo, me afetoha chepo. That was me trying to speak Sesutu. I know I did that badly, but I like languages, you know. Thank goodness that Google Translate exists, but I don't trust it. Oh yeah, let's raise the bet by doing that into German, by saying something like mit jedem Tag, der vergeht, verliert die Apokalypse ihren Schrecken und wird zu einer Hoffnung. Ja, das stimmt. Ich liebe das. Noch einmal, bitteschön. Mit jedem Tag, der vergeht, verliert die Apokalypse ihren Schrecken und wird zu einer Hoffnung. Oh, und wird zu einer Hoffnung. Ja. Ja, es wird eine Hoffnung sein. Sie wird eine Hoffnung sein. With that information, let's move on now to let's move on now to reply number 17. After all that multilingual rant, let's move on to reply number 17. A reply to the question, who's going to take care of you when you're old? I reply, I'm taking myself out with a 12 gauge round from a shotgun in the middle of buttfuck nowhere. In the middle of buttfuck nowhere. That word should be together. I refuse to end up in a retirement home where I have the chances of being yet another elderly person who gets abused by retirement staff. Oh my god, I had forgotten that cases like these exist. Oh no, that's terrible. That is frankly quite terrible. Ugh. This answer... Achoo! This answer made me uncomfortable. Oh my god. This answer made me uncomfortable because it is the truth. Yeah. I guess that I am glad my grandma, my great-great-grandma, Miss Masse, was taken care of by my family, especially my uncle. Bless him. Bless he be forever. Bless he be forever and for all eternity. Oh my god. That answer really made me uncomfortable because even The Simpsons this answer reminds me of The Simpsons because let us not forget that Grandpa Abe is in a retirement home and hardly ever is he visited by Homer, Marge, Bart, Lisa, and Maggie. And frankly, yeah, it's a sad reality. Elderly people maybe sometimes will not be visited, and there is the horrible possibility that elderly people be victims of abuse by the retirement staff. Oh my god. And he goes, hey. The funny part is definitely the one that says, I'm taking myself out with a 12 gauge round from a shotgun in the middle of buttfuck nowhere. That's kind of funny because the next one says something like, give me a second. I'm going to do it less dramatically and painlessly, I hope. But I agree completely with what you just said. I won't have any family whatsoever looking out for me. So I'm not going to be in someone else's hands who is a total stranger. I couldn't agree more. And ironically, by saying that last thing, I won't have any family whatsoever looking out for me. That makes you more deserving of good care by the family towards which you were nice, or maybe towards which you were polite. Or maybe you don't have any contact, you don't have any relationship whatsoever. However, yay, that makes you more deserving of kindness, from people that probably have never met you, but they have no reason to hate you. Unless you give them a reason, but yeah, they have no reason to hate you. This one is kind of funny because it says something like, this one is kind of funny. This one is kind of funny. Do you want to know why? Because this person immediately says something like, what the heck? Why go to the middle of fucking nowhere when you could do it in your worst enemy's front stoop? I added the word fucking freely, alright? It says, why go in the middle of nowhere when you could do it on your worst enemy's front stoop? Why go to the middle of fucking nowhere? I decided to add the word fucking right there. Let's continue. That was fun, alright? That was answer number 17 with 3 replies on its belt. There are 2 more answers that I could read, but no, I would love to move on to the next one, which is quite a longer version, which is quite a long answer. Let us give it a try. Reply number 18, and it goes. Most older people are spending their nest egg supporting their adult children. Most older people are spending their nest egg supporting their adult children. Then there's all the people living alone. All the people living alone. In hospitals and nursing homes that get no visits or have a connection with their adult children. Don't have a connection with their adult children. Why do people think kids are there for being your support when you're old? Why do you think that? A. Most need support from their aging parents. That's answer letter A. B. Many have their own busy lives and can drop everything to change your diaper. Yeah, we do. These days, people are getting even much busier than before. Letter C. Even the best adult children aren't the people who should change your diaper to begin with. Everyone needs to plan for their care when they might need it in old age. Do not put that burden on your kids, and it's very likely your adult kids will still demand financial support and or ignore you. Breeders are so entitled and clueless. You couldn't have expressed it better. Chop chop. You couldn't have expressed it better. That was fantastic. Well done. You couldn't have expressed it better. That was fantastic. Well done. By the way, this apparently was written by a 60-year-old woman. And to that I said, clap, madam. Big clap for you. I don't know you, but I would love to meet you, and if I met you, I would definitely treat you to a beer or whatever drink you want. Just one, because I don't drink, honestly. Let's continue. Oh, the next answers apparently are short ones, because reply number 19 is something like long-term care insurance. What you can afford if you didn't spend $500,000 raising kids. Yeah, kids are expensive. And I believe that I was not an expensive child, considering that now I live alone, I live solo, I do not bother my mom. And one time I said in Spanish, but I will translate it, debt first, asking my mom for help second. And I don't say that as with hatred. I say that as a loving son that doesn't want to bother his mom. A loving son that doesn't want to bother his affectionate mom. I think that one sounds good. First debt, ask my mom for help second. No. First debt, ask my mom for help second. Something like that. I hope I'm making sense. The next one are remember what I said before about conversation starters? Yeah, well, let's remind ourselves of conversation enders, such as this one that says, tell them that you're going to choose euthanasia. Should get them to shut up real quick. And this person wrote RQ, which I suppose means real quick. I'm not going. My pet peeve is improper punctuation. Abbreviations are not a big deal. Besides, it's perfectly understandable, and you're using a period. Thank you, good man, good sir, or good lady. I hope you're having a good day. Because, yeah, euthanasia should be available for both animals and people, alright? I mean, because in this movie that I watched one time, and I liked a lot, this movie that I watched once, and I liked a lot, the one called We Bought a Zoo. The movie that I'm thinking about, the movie which I was reminded of by this answer. I hope I'm making sense. Alright, this answer reminded me of a movie. Okay? Tell them you're going to choose euthanasia. That should get them to shut up real quick. I like that. This answer reminded me of a movie. We Bought a Zoo. We Bought a Zoo directed by Cameron Crowe and starred by Matt Damon, Scarlett Johansson, Elle Fanny, Colin Ford, Maggie Elizabeth Jones, Benjamin Mee himself, Thomas Hayden Church, and Patrick Fugit, and so many more. That movie, they're indeed by a zoo. They buy a zoo, and guess what? One of the animals being kept at the zoo, one of the tigers, unfortunately is not having a good me lleva el demonio. Give me the English version. In this movie, there is a tiger which begins to experience some health complications, and in the end they have to put it to sleep. Benjamin tries to medicate his food, which the tiger refuses to eat. Kelly urges Benjamin to let him go, but Benjamin refuses, leading to a heated argument. That's the Wikipedia article. Long story short, in the end, the tiger is indeed put to sleep, is indeed given euthanasia. Alright? Tiger. Let us continue. Anyway, moving on. I better close this Wikipedia. I better close that tab before I get even more distracted, because I don't want to get distracted from the fact that I'm going to read the reply number 21, and it is, who's going to take care of you when you're old? Asking them why they are okay with being burdens for their future kids. Ask them, why are you okay with being a burden for your future kids and fucking up their futures, kids, adults' best years, and probably fucking up opportunities for their kids as well. For example, their kid might be able to get an amazing job and will have to renounce it because my aging dad or mom needs care. Like, not only they're okay with doing that, but they're actively planning it years in advance. How can they even look at themselves in the mirror? Another fantastic table turner. I have to admit it. Another fantastic table turner. Another fantastic table turner. This is wonderful. Another fantastic table turner. Reply. Table turner. Let's continue, because fortunately there are short answers, and normally I will stop after the reply number 20. However, the replies are just too good, so I'm gonna read a few more. Such as this one, reply number 22. My retirement savings account I have because I'm a mature adult with a career. You think children are somehow cheaper? They are not. I was a child to my mom and my dad, and I know that having children 30 years ago may have been a little lower, but that doesn't mean that we have acquisitive power, you know? Just because my mom worked, we had the most basic. Food, shelter, a ceiling, shoes, and may she be all blessed for doing that. Not just the bare minimum, but being a parent, alright? With that information, moving on to the question, reply number 23. Oh no, it's 22. My retirement... I forgot to read the whole thing. I get frustrated when I'm editing when this happens. My retirement savings account I have because I'm a mature adult with a career. You think children are somehow cheaper? I hope your gamble works out and they actually follow through with looking after you. I'll stick to a sure thing. Reply 23. What does it say? Reply 23. It is the nursing home is full of old people. The nursing home is full of old people who have multiple adult children. They require special help that the average person can't provide to them. Even if I decided to have children, I would do my best to set myself up to not be a burden to them when I'm older. I would hate to interrupt their lives by making them have to take care of me. Once again, saying that makes you ironically and unironically more deserving of care from them, or more, it makes you more deserving to be taken care of by the village that you raised. Alright? If you raise them right, they won't need you. And if you raise them wrong, they also won't need you. But the difference is that they are not going to contact you, and they will actually cry your loss. Reply number 24. I don't have to breed my labor force. Beautiful. I don't have to breed my labor force. And a couple of long answers. Oh my god. A couple of short answers, alright? I'm gonna choose one, and that's gonna be a lot. That's gonna be a while. Another one approaching it from the mortality of human. The next reply will be one answering the question with some awareness of the mortality of humans, because it says, honestly, I have 20 nieces and nephews. My sister is 8 years younger than me, and I believe in assisted suicide. I think I'll be just fine. Alright? I think I'll be just fine. How beautiful is that? Besides, it's just falling asleep. Dying is pretty much that. Oh, alright. The other ones are really short, so I'm gonna include them over here. Reply number 26. I plan to stay active and keep healthy, so I am independent as long as possible. Creating a human being just so I don't have to die alone one day is really selfish. It would be wonderful not to die alone. On the one hand. On the other hand, I don't want to be that type of burden. I don't want to be a burden. I hope I'm making sense. To that one, that's reply number 27. It says, I once told someone that my cats would take care of me. That person looked confused for a few seconds, then horrified. It took them a time to understand that probably your cats are going to eat you. Yeah, they may love you, you may love them, they may be domestic animals that depend on humans, but they're animals in the end. Therefore, if you somehow died in your apartment and your dog ended up eating you, or your cats ended up eating you, or your hamsters ended up eating you, or your snake, your lizard, whatever, ended up eating you, That's not because they're horrible beings, but because they are simply animals. They are neither inherently evil or good. They are just animals. That's it. Oh my god, I love this. This person says, I don't want to get married or have kids either. Yay, lol. Oh, this person is replying to OP's response, you know? Yes, no one talks about being marriage free too. I'm glad we're on the same page. I agree, but however, I would say this one has more to do with choosing the right person to marry. If you're going to marry, choose the right person. Definitely. Choose the right person. Yeah. Let's move on with... that was... what, 25, 6, 7, 8... 29. Reply number 29, and then we will read number 2010. The number 2010, it's gonna be quite simple because it says a few people in the past, in the previous responses, they said my cats, but this person said my 10 Dobermans. That's hilarious. The next one will be a little bit longer, but it's not that much because the other answers are rather simple. All right, and it says, as an adult, I take responsibility for myself. As an adult, I take responsibility for myself. Reply number 30. As an adult, I take responsibility for myself. So do I. So do I. So do I. This means planning for my own self-care. This means planning for my own care. Estate planning and paying into long-term care insurance. I have seen what dementia does to the patient and those around them. I would never, ever burden anyone else with my care. I would be ashamed if I burdened my children with the expectation of caring for me in the late stage dementia. Yes, I have seen this close up. I have seen this up close, and it is why I have a strong opinion on airtight planning and having the hard conversations early. I guess that let's say I have children, but if I get old and I don't recognize them, I will, if I get old, I suffer from memory loss. Oh my god. If I end up suffering from memory loss, I hope no. I'll leave something written on the lines of, I no longer recognize my children. I no longer recognize my family, so just let me die already. This person I trust, this will be the person making the decision for me. Wow, that was a long ass question. That was a long ass series of replies. And what about you? In the comments, please write down on in the comment section of this video when it is uploaded. Please do write down what reply you would give to this irritating, annoying, infuriating, and condescending question. All right, you let us know, please. And also, I would say that it is fantastic that I read this, because if I am ever asked the same question, what are you gonna do? Who's gonna take care of you when you're old? I'm gonna say, no problem. I'm just gonna die, and I will let anyone else find me eventually, or something like that. Something like that. But we can get more philosophical, but that's a question, that's a conversation, and that's a video for another day. Thank you very much, Brave New World. That's it. Yep.